Yeah, so something really crazy happened today. I played the Switch 2. I played the Switch 2 early. Crazy. I really do be out here playing the Switch 2. I'm just gonna get right to it, honestly. Nintendo invited me to play the Switch 2 early. What? A big, massive thanks to Nintendo of Canada for inviting me to the event. And now I'm really going to talk about everything that happened at this event because I have some epic gamer details that I've seen no one else cover, probably because they aren't cursed with gamer like me. When we first entered into the Switch 2 experience, they let us take a look at all the different accessories and of course the console itself. And let me tell you, the camera is way smaller than I thought it. Like, I don't know why I thought it would be like 2 switches tall. I don't get it. But we got to take a look at all of it. I'm surprised at how small the actual box is. Everything's very compactly designed, which I like. I got to take a good look at the Pro controller, which I'll talk more about later. The wireless GameCube controller, which I won't really talk about later. And I also got a good look at the Joy-Con wheels, which I'm fairly certain I was the only person to ever pre-order those at my local GameStop. I did pre-order a Switch 2, by the way. Yippee. Then I got to actually hold the console itself, and in doing so, I tried to rip the Joy-Cons off of the console to test how well the magnets hold up. And I can say, they hold up. Oh my god, they really hold up. I know a lot of folks are wondering about how child-proof the Switch 2 magnetic Joy-Cons will be, but they are great. No issues attaching or detaching. I wasn't worried that they were gonna wreck the connector on the inside. The whole product as a whole felt very premium, and that's not saying that the Switch OLED or anything like that isn't a valuable product. It very much is, but this just felt good. Holding the new Joy-Cons on the sides as well was way comfier than whatever this is. Another thing I want to talk about with the new Joy-Cons is that not only does the stick feel a lot better to use, the buttons overall just feel way better than the original Switch 1 Joy-Cons, and this is especially seen when I'm playing Mario Kart on the Joy-Con grip, but we'll get to that in a bit. To be honest, I thought the thin little kickstand wouldn't have any holding power whatsoever, but oh my god, it's just as good as the OLEDs. And this is how big the OLEDs is, like, come on. Let's talk launch titles. Mario Kart World. Mario Kart World is going to be the best Mario Kart in the series by a long shot, and it's because of 2 things mainly. One is obviously the theme of the game being open world and the new mechanics it brings, and 2, the game is what I can only describe as a perfect mix of Mario Kart Wii with the physics and drifting and all of that, with the graphics and look of Mario Kart 8 and Wonder, and oh my god, it's so good. On the first race, I went Canadian Shy Guy because I have to rep the brand. I love the winter, photo unrelated, and I ended up driving from the Mario Circuits track to Peach Stadium. One thing in this race that I got to try out a lot was the new charge jump mechanic, especially near the latter half of the race. You can see me jumping on cars to get boosts. I tried to do a blue shell dodge with the feather, but I timed it a bit too early and absolutely ate dirt. But you know what? I see the timing. I see the timing for it. It's in my brain. It is important to note that the demo I played was all in 100cc, so not the 100% speed 150cc, and smart steering was turned on by default. I could not turn it off, which means I couldn't get the 3rd layer of mini turbo boost, as well as just take any general shortcuts without a mushroom, and being in first place all the time, like I am, you can't really get any mushrooms. For the second track, I went all the way from DK Pass to Starview Peak, and you can see exactly the moment where smart steering screws me from driving on the wall. But we'll get to that in a moment. Also, another thing I'd like to point out, if you don't have an item and press the item button, instead of honking your horn, you will now emote in the car. It's so great. You'll see that later when I play as Cow. But the highlight of this match for sure was when someone summoned Kamek with an item and turned everyone into the snowman from Mario 64. Unironically might be my main character when the game comes out. Kamek also summoned a bunch of Goombas and floaties during the water section of the track, which was a great little touch. I liked the snowman more though, but who am I to judge? And yes, I won this one too. What did you expect? Then I got to play Mario Kart World in handheld mode, so I went Nabbit, the goat. And in this race, I went from Boo Cinema to Dry Bones Burnout, I believe the track is called, and this track in specific is what told me that this is going to be the best Mario Kart game, because the track design on this is just incredible. This Grand Prix track also told me just how varied the game is actually going to be, because I started in Boo Cinema, it was all murky, then I went into a nice lush forest area, and then I'm in a barren wasteland for the Dry Bones track at the very end. It's just crazy, man. It's just crazy. I don't know what to tell you. This track had many different ramps and split paths, which allowed me to do lots and lots of tricks, which, by the way, doing multiple in the air is super fun. I like it a lot. I do not know if it adds more boost depending on how many you do. It's kind of odd. I didn't see any flames come out of the car. I'll have to look at it later, but it was pretty neat though. The final section of the track is what really sold me on Mario Kart World. I went off of a ramp onto a rail, onto another rail, did a few turns, got hit by a blue shell, then went off of a ramp, onto a wall, jumped off of the wall, and glided across the finish line. That's just so cool, man. Then it was time for Knockout Tour, the brand new mode in Mario Kart World, and honestly, this was awesome, dude. I feel like I keep saying that a lot, but I really can't state that enough. I also got to use the Pro Controller for this as well, and I must say the new Pro Controller feels so nice. I'm gonna grab the other Pro Controller for the Switch 1 now and tell you how I feel based on my instinctual first reaction to it. Oh my god, it's really nice. But you know what isn't nice though? You can't say I'm using tilt controls in the lobby menu anymore for Mario Kart. I looked through all of them. I did not see them. I hope it's in the full release. I really do. But also, while waiting for Knockout Tour to start, the most exciting part of this for me was I got to free roam for a bit. And the main reason why free roam was so important to me is that smart steering would basically be disabled. So I started to go absolutely crazy in whatever area I was in at the time. And this is when I saw the true potential of charge jump and wall ride, because I was just jumping on walls, going up, tricking off of them. I was jumping on top of cars, bouncing off of the cars, then going onto the rails. Oh my god. Also, I managed to get a look at all of the different rallies for Knockout Tour, so take a look at them. There they are. One thing that I really like about Mario Kart World is that not every returning track is a track, if that makes sense. For example, outside of the area of Boost Cinema, Ghost Valleys 1, 2, and 3, I believe, are all out there. They're not full tracks, but the layout is there, so if you want to go and race on it, you can. And it's also integrated into the Knockout Tour rallies, and I'm sure the Grand Prix tracks as well. So for Knockout Tour, I went as the cow, obviously, and then took the magic carpet out for a spin. And Knockout Tour is really the mode that I feel that Mario Kart World is made for. Especially when the game runs at 150cc full speed, I can only imagine how crazy this thing is going to be. It was pretty hectic that even I was wavering in place a bunch. Me? Crazy. The way Knockout Tour works is that for every single section of the race, the bottom 4 players at the end of the section will get eliminated. So in order for me to get the maximum amount of content on Mario Kart World, I had to lock in, which I did. I did get second, but it was still a personal victory. And there's the cows emote for when you press the item button but don't have any items available. One thing I also tried to do was jump on the charging truck that was running towards me, and sadly I didn't jump high enough to Goomba stomp him. But I do think if you have an item like a feather, that's definitely something you would be able to do. There's also ice bullies, but they have a giant spike on the top of their heads, so I don't think that's gonna work. I must say though, I did forget I had smart steering on sometimes, and it absolutely screwed me over when I tried to go for some shortcuts. So I'm gonna blame that for my loss instead of my own lack of skill, or just being Mario Kart as a whole, actually. So that was all I got to play of Mario Kart World at the event, and I must say, oh my god, this game is going to be insane. And I will be playing it on June 5th. If you folks want to see the full uncut gameplay of some of the games I played at the Switch 2 experience, I'll be putting them up on good old c.plays, my Let's Play channel, so do subscribe to that. Yes, please. I'll also be commentating over those things because, oh my god, it was so loud I couldn't even hear the music. I couldn't even hear the Mario Kart bangers, and trust me, there were bangers. Now, before I get to Donkey Kong Bananza and then all of the other games I played, I want to talk a bit more about the Joy-Cons and Pro Controller and just overall Switch as a whole. I'm going to give a quick summary of how both of the controllers felt in my epic gamer hands. Very good. The Switch 2 Joy-Cons, and specifically the buttons, had a lot more travel distance, not so much so that it's like the OG Pro Controller versus the OG Joy-Cons, but there definitely was a lot more tactile feel to actually pushing down the buttons, which I really enjoyed. The joysticks as well have a lot more travel distance. You can move them around a lot more. And overall, it's just better quality all around, which is really what I expected at the end of the day. And the Pro Controller just felt genuinely amazing. It was seamless. It was just like I was holding nothing and just gaming with my brain. The D-pad especially, although I didn't use it nearly as much as I wanted to, it was really nice. The Switch 2 console itself was just a tiny bit heavier than the original Switch 1, but it was also a bit wider, a bit larger, so it kind of like evened it out, and I couldn't really tell the difference. But this thing does feel pristine, and the fact that I can fit it in my pocket is crazy. Please note that I have pretty large pockets. And then I got to play Donkey Kong Bananza. And let me tell you, I knew this game was going to be similar to Mario Odyssey just in the way it moved and felt and controlled, but oh my goodness gracious, you can schmoove in this game. While watching demo footage, I never really realized how much you can schmoove, but there's a roll button, being ZL. And oh my god, you can roll and punch, you can roll and then grab something out of the ground. Once you do it, there's so many different options that you can use to move around, but it's not necessary to actually progress through the game. I must say the lovely attendees watching me play Donkey Kong Bananza were kind of gobsmacked at my gameplay. Maybe I'm just too much of a gamer. This will not be a one-time occurrence. But I must say, with a game like Donkey Kong Bonanza, it just feels so good to control, especially when I was using the Pro Controller. All the different vibrations, just the game feel was really, really nice. The main goal of the game is to collect a whole lot of banana and continue making your way down, it seems. I don't know, I think. I managed to open up 2 holes to the underground. How was the fall? But the demo just instantly booted me back up to the last sub-level I was on, which was 101, I believe. Overall, I got to play Donkey Kong Bananza for a pretty sizable amount of time. I'd say it's comparable to the amount of time I played Mario Kart World for. Also, I found this neat little bonus level that I absolutely destroyed using the roll and punch. It was crazy. But with a game like this, I can't get a good grip of what it will be like by just having a little 20-minute demo of it. But with that said, I absolutely loved the 20-minute demo I was a part of, and I will be playing this game, of course. If it's a game made by the team behind Mario Odyssey, which I think is the case, or at least maybe even a part of it, then you know it's peak gaming. So after that, I had now over an hour of time to free play a bunch of different games. We got this little gameplay passport in which we went around playing a bunch of different games, although some games didn't give me the little like passport stamp, but I still got a cool backpack though. Give me a moment. Ooh. So now that I'm in free play, there's a bunch of different sections to go to. There's obviously your big hitters like Metroid Prime 4. Then you got GameCube Switch Online, you got Kirby, you got some Mario Party games with a camera and mouse control. You got Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 editions. You got the Switch 2 tech demo welcome tour, which I did not play, but I will at launch because that's going to give me so many ideas for shorts. Hoo boy. You got Dragon Drive as well, and then a bunch of third-party games like Split Fiction, Cyberpunk, Street Fighter 6, and a bunch of others too, but I didn't really play those. I was mainly here for the epic gamer games. Not to say those ones aren't epic, but Metroid Prime 4. And now since I have access to a bunch of different Switch 2 games, obviously the first one I'm going to play is Mario Party Jamboree. These new minigames utilize the mouse mode of the Switch 2, which was really cool. I'll talk about that in a second. But we went to play air hockey, this weird kind of Operation Toad game. Rest in peace. He's dead. And another one where we had to pull back a little RC card. That was great. Really enjoyed that one. This Mario Party Jamboree DLC is part of the new Switch 2 edition things they've been doing. I like that they're not just upgrading them and charging me, but I like that they're upgrading it and adding new features. We'll get to Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom in a moment because oh my god. Metroid Prime 4. Yeah! I have been waiting 8 years since the announcement at E3 2017 to just play this game. And so I played it, and it did not disappoint, let me tell you that much. Metroid Prime 4 lives up to the hype. It's important to note that I only played the opening section of the game, the same shown in the Treehouse demo. The main draw with the Switch 2 edition of Metroid Prime 4 is that you can use the Joy-Con mouse to aim and fire, and I think this was pretty neat, although I do still prefer the motion controls used in the other Prime games. But thankfully, there's an option for that too. So you know what, why not both? One thing that was a bit odd when using the mouse controls was that when you lock onto an enemy, your main cursor, which you're controlling with the mouse, now stays locked onto the enemy, and you have a secondary cursor that you now control with the mouse, going and trying to hit weak points and all. So what would usually happen is I would lock onto an enemy, and since I was still moving the mouse, the little weak point reticle would go way off the map, and I had to recenter it. It's a learning curve thing, but I'll have to wait until the game comes out to test it out more. But yeah, the game's phenomenal, and it looks just so good, honestly. I don't mean to be a graphics guy, but it just looks great. I mean, it looks fantastic on the Switch 1 too. I feel pretty bad for the person actually running this Metroid Prime 4 stand because I went around literally scanning everything in sight, so much so to the fact they had to say hurry it up. The fact that the game took this long to make just shows the amount of care and detail they are putting into this, and you can really see it when you play the full game. So I'm very much looking forward to it. Speaking of care and attention to detail, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Nintendo Switch 2 edition plus Star-Crossed World. That's a mouthful. Mode. Whoa. So I got to play good old Kirby in the Forgotten Land at a very, very smooth frame rate and a very high resolution, which I very much enjoyed a ton. However, I have one sad thing of news. Do you guys know that one hammer moon jump glitch you could do in the original version of Kirby in the Forgotten Land? I don't know if it was the game running at a higher frame rate and therefore giving me a smaller window to perform the glitch, but I could not seem to do it, which made me sad. But at the end of the day, it was a glitch, and I'm glad it's not there anymore for my game developer homies. But with that said, this little expansion for the Switch 2 edition is absolutely phenomenal. I can't express just how much I adore the cosmic settings Kirby games have. The visual effects that the new star-crossed world brings is just so nice. Also, I managed to grab some figurines, so you folks can take a look at these fun and nifty lore descriptions. Go crazy, I guess. But speaking of glitches and going crazy, I managed to play the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 editions, and oh my god. I'm going to be so jealous of the people who play this game for the first time like this. It is insane how much of an improvement these upgrades are, and it's something I never really noticed until I actually played it myself. I wasn't able to experiment with the new Zelda Notes feature, but I'm sure it will be great for me because yet again the children yearn for the Wii U gamepad. Zelda Notes is basically just what the Wii U gamepad was going to be in Breath of the Wild, and then they brought it over to Tears of the Kingdom as well, and it's so great! Especially the tons of voice memories I'm sure Zelda lore nerds such as myself will dive in headfirst and have a holly jolly good time. I did manage to mess around in Breath of the Wild a bit before I went into Tears of the Kingdom, and I can confirm that although I am rusty, I did manage to pull off a successful wind bomb, and since the Switch 2 is so much faster than the Switch 1, there was no loading times. I wasn't just stuck in midair. That was great! Now for Tears of the Kingdom, however, I originally planned to go to Kakariko Village to try and stress test the machine, because Kakariko Village is the most lag-inducing area in the main game of Tears of the Kingdom on the original Switch, but sadly there wasn't really any teleports to it, and I couldn't get there within the 5 minutes of time allotted in the demo. You know what I could do in 5 minutes in Tears of the Kingdom though? Make Frederick. And so I did the classic Frederick % speedrun, hop off the Great Sky Island, go to the Dueling Peaks Lake, shoot a Nocturok, get the materials there, and honestly, I'm surprised I was able to pull it off. The best part about the Switch 2 edition of Tears of the Kingdom isn't the Zelda notes or maybe just the better frame rates or resolutions or anything like that. It's the fact that the game just loads faster. Here's how long it takes for me to teleport to the Great Sky Island from Lookout Landing, and here's how long it takes on the Switch 2. But because the game loads everything faster, all of the menus have been streamlined and they don't lag at all. I'm not waiting for images to pop up on the fuse selection or item selection, and there's no stutter when selecting an item to throw or fusing something. It's a very small difference, but it makes such an impact to the overall game experience. And next up is Dragon Drive, and honestly, I enjoyed this game a lot more than I was expecting to. This game heavily utilizes the Joy-Con mouse controls, and I must say they work very well. I did not try them on my pants though, but the table and mouse pad were very nice. And yes, we did manage to play a game of 3-on-3, and yes, I was the only person who scored any points during the game. It is a bit of a learning curve to get used to, so I don't expect anyone else to score any points, but I'm still cursed with gamer. This is a known fact. The next thing I wanted to try out was the GameCube game, specifically Wind Waker, for one sole reason. I wanted to do a speedrunning glitch known as a manual super swim, but even with pausing the game every frame to change my inputs, I'm just not skilled enough to do it, so I do not know if it is in this version. It should be though. And that about covers it. I'm way more excited for the Switch 2 than I was before, and this is coming from the guy who waited like 4 hours outside of a GameStop trying to pre-order the thing yesterday. So it's safe to say I'm a little bit excited, you know, just not too much though, not too much. Yet again, thank you Nintendo of Canada for inviting me. That was crazy. Feel free to subscribe if you want as well. I'm very close to 500,000 subscribers, and if I hit it before the Switch 2 releases, I'm gonna do a big marathon stream series playing through a bunch of games from the Switch's lifespan. And don't forget to subscribe to my Let's Play channel, cdotplays, where I'll be posting all of the uncut gameplay with my commentary over it in the next couple of days. But yeah, I'm very excited for the Switch 3. Now I'm gonna go play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and cry.